What's happening, guys? Happy Thursday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, you missed the Dynasty playoffs. Now what? We're going to give you some things to help you rebuild and reshake up your roster, get going on a better path for 2026. And rejoining me after another week off is my co-host. You know him better as the man of the hour, and the man with the power, Jerry Sinclair. Buddy, what is going on?
Mr. Randall Young, it is magnificent to be back. It is the playoff time, so it's finally the time where setting my lineups stresses me the hell out. Like, I'm not a person that whenever I set one in the regular season, like, I don't care if I win or lose. As long as I end up in the playoffs, I'm fine. But now my decisions actually matter, and I sweat every mother effing one of them, Randall. So here's to hoping that Blake Corum has a good game, because for some reason I got a lot of Blake Corum this week, and I'm going with him. So
why so bullish on Blake Corum?
it's not that I am. It's just that I'm in a situation where, I have that second flex spot or whatever the hell it is, and I've got some injuries and I've got some wonky situations, and his role has been growing, so I'm just sort of feeding off that hype. But he is a Michigan Wolverine, so it would absolutely be deserving of me for him to lay an egg and cost me in a whole bunch of leagues. But it is what it is. What can you do?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the Michigan Wolverines, and they play in the Big Ten, and you're wearing the sweatshirt of the team that won the Big Ten championship. My Indiana, I say my as if I've been a fan or I'm an alum.
You're an Indiana resident.
I didn't get a go. So I've mentioned this before, but our baseball travel organization does fundraising at Lucas Oil Stadium. And our group, I did not go, but our group worked the Big Ten championship game. And we have a new stand manager. His name's Jason, awesome dude. And he ran the stand this past Saturday for the Big Ten championship game. Now, mind you, he's been through every Colts home game since the preseason. He was like, Randy, there was nothing like this. He was like, the building was vibrating. I thought because we work on the upper level. We're in the 4,500 level of Lucas Oil Stadium. He was like, I thought it was going to collapse, was how crazy this game was. So how about that stoink by the kicker? I mean, just snapped it.
I was happy to see it. Lucas Oil is an awesome place to see a game, but also it was the first time that Indiana has played in the Big Ten championship game in the 14 or 15 years that game's been going on. It's been in Indianapolis, so of course it was going nuts. Indiana's undefeated, number 2 versus number 1. I'm going to be honest, I thought the Buckeyes were going to win. I was rooting for Indiana because one of my high school buddies is a strength and conditioning coach for Indiana football. Shout out to Coach Carl Miller. He's a bad man. He looks like he's a strength and conditioning coach who eats light bulbs as snacks. He fits the mold. But they got it done. He's going to get another Big Ten championship ring, so love to see that. Good to see the Hoosiers win it. Michigan State hired a new coach. Michigan fired their coach. We're not going to get into that because there's some shenanigans that go along with it, but it's a weird day to be a Big Ten fan for sure.
I never once in a million years thought IU would have won the Big Ten. I love Kirk Cignetti, and I love the fact that IU extended him as all this was going on. It was the arrogance of programs like Penn State, like Florida. I don't know so much LSU because I think the Brian Kelly firing was after the Cignetti extension. But is there anything more fun than Kirk Cignetti going, I win, Google me? That's gangster shit right there. I mean, he was like, and he did it 2 years. I mean, really, it's been 2 years. No, and then we'll bring this back to Dynasty, but where do you think Mendoza is going to go in Dynasty Superflex draft? Is he the clear 102 in Superflex? Because for me personally, regardless of landing spot, well, I can't say regardless if Atlanta goes full Atlanta. Well, they can't because they traded their first round pick to the LA Rams. But if he were to land in a spot like I don't know, Indy, which they don't have a first round pick either, but you get my point. If Detroit, a really crowded where they've already got like an established running back, that might ding him a bit. But where are you going to have Mendoza from a dynasty standpoint?
Either 2 or 3 would be my guess. I mean, it depends. I haven't watched Dante Moore enough. I've seen, because my buddy is a coach for Indiana. Like, I've watched them quite a bit, and he just reminds me of Kirk Cousins, which is good enough. It's not super sexy. I'm going to have to watch a little bit more Dante Moore to see if he's going to compete. Got to check in on all the other guys, but I would guess, because he's probably going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. So he's going to be deserving of an early superflex pick. So early enough. Here we go. Let's roll.
We'll see. I don't think Dante Moore's coming out. I wouldn't come out if I were Dante Moore.
If you can get Nike money, then by all means. But if you're a top 3 or 4 pick, you might as well get that money, though.
I mean, if Carson Beck is making $4 million a year at Miami, is it fair to say that if Moore came back to Oregon next year, that he could probably get 6 or 8? And then you use some of that 6 or 8 to take out an insurance policy against falling out of the first round of the NFL draft, either for performance or for injury. So then you can take out, like, a Lloyd's of London contract, $40-50 million in case that were to happen. It might cost you $1 or $2 million of that, $5 or $6 million, but it's a hedge against that future earnings. Because if I'm a young quarterback, I don't want to go to New York. I don't want to be a Jet. Remember the last really young, really talented, toolsy quarterback from the West Coast to go to the New York Jets? I do. It was the Ginger Jesus. It was the Ginger Jesus, Sam Darnold, and they wrecked him, and it took 3 stops along the way and going to age 27, 28 before he got it turned around. If I was Dante Moore, ain't no way I'm going to New York and going to play with the Jets. But Jerry, I lied a little bit, and I didn't mean to, but it wasn't a lie, it was a misspeak. I said there's nothing more fun than listening to Kurt Signetti talk about I win, Google me. The only thing funner is Flex 6 on Fast Draft.
I know you're sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops, because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun, and as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Now, I say there's nothing funner than Flex 6. That's kind of true. Jerry, do you remember preseason when we did the Rabbit, the best ball game?
Mm-hmm.
The Rabbit is back. The Rabbit is back. They're going to do it weeks 15, 16, 17. It's already 70% full. So if you're listening to this podcast because you're like, well, I didn't make the playoffs. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to tell you to go to Fast Draft, download the app, use promo code WarZone, all one word, WarZone, all caps. It'll get you that dollar for dollar match up to $50. You deposit 50, you get 50, and then you can draft a shitload of best ball teams and make weeks 15 through 17 mean something for you. You get to play a lot for not a little money. Fast Draft. Jerry, real quick, I want to do some people in the comments. I'm going to do one person. If it's not a tied to tonight, I will not answer it till the end of the show because I like answering questions. Ront 9578 evening. Need to. Michael Wilson, Mike Evans, Ashton Genty, Christian Watson, Mark Andrews. I've been doing this on the Sleep Stream Stash podcast with my boys Evan and Johnny. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going Michael Wilson. That dude's hotter than fish grease right now. And it looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to play again. So I'm going Michael Wilson Jr. I love Mike Evans. I saw someone posting he's like 258 yards a game over these last 4 to get his to get to his 1,000. So you never know what Baker could work, but I don't think that's the case. Ashton Genty, it looks like Kenny Pickett's going to start. So for me, Michael Wilson's the definite. I'm not starting Mark Andrews, even though it is a matchup against the Bengals. I'm leaning Genty because he's a running back, although Christian Watson is a good flyer. But I think I'm going to go Michael Wilson and Ashton Genty, Jerry.
I think those are probably the 2 I would go, and I would also think about Christian Watson, just like you said. Dude's been awesome. But also Jaden Reed working himself back in. Maybe he takes a little bit of that. But for everything that Michael Wilson has done over the last little bit, animal. Like, how do you take him out? I'm starting him in a playoff match that I need to win. And I mean, Ashton Genty, yeah, he's been disappointing, but he's getting the workload, and you're not going to rely on Kenny Pickett, so you have to assume it's going to be like owning Brees Hall this year. Like, you're going to see a lot of carries. You're just not going to see the touchdowns, and that's unfortunate. But I think that's probably your floor play for sure.
Well, I was doing a little bit of math. So Ashton Genty had a week 9 bye. And since the week 9 bye, he has averaged 14.5 points a game. Been much more involved in the passing game. Yeah, I'm leaning on Genty. I'm got to double check the matchup because I don't remember it. They're playing the Eagles. The Eagles' run defense has not been great. It's cold. Kenny Pickett starting. How do you keep it close? You pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball. He might have to do it 3 yards a clip because that's about what his average is. You're just hoping he continues to be involved in the passing game. I would watch the weather. There is supposed to be some pretty shitty weather across the Midwest to the East Coast. If the weather gets funky, I would definitely avoid the wide receivers. Snow and wind, not so much snow, but wind really impacts the weather, the offense. Snow, not so much. Weather, definitely a lot. And you may say to yourself, why are they answering start-sit questions? Because Ront turned into the YouTube live. We're going to take care of our people. You come watch the YouTube. You got a playoff question. The playoff questions are answered, especially when it involves a Thursday night player. We got your back. But, Jerry, I don't have a good people, good tweets, but I have a good people, interesting takes I want to run by you. And I will, if you work with me, I will run this into the topic we're going into tonight. So I try to avoid true fantasy content throughout the season because I don't want to parrot anyone's takes. And I think you know that about me.
Yep.
And except the Podfather. I will listen to a little bit of Podfather. I've got to be careful about the Podfather because the Podfather and I are of the same age, pretty close. I think I'm a couple of years older than him. But the Podfather and I are about the same age, and we look at the game very much similarly, right? You know, we take a business approach. He's more into the analytics. I'm a little bit more into the analytics. But so that not said, I still listen to a lot of NFL content. And one of my favorite shows is called RJ Bell's Dream Preview. And it's a gambling podcast. And they were talking about the game, and they handicap all of the games, give you some nuggets and everything. And the co-host, Steve, he was like, they were talking about the Browns game this week. The Browns play the Bears. And he was giving his handicap on the Browns, and he was like, well, Cleveland stinks. And, you know, and the host, RJ, was like, well, Shador played really well last week. And he was like, no, that was the Tennessee defense. And RJ stopped him and said, you know, it's odd that when a quarterback is drafted highly, like a first-round quarterback, like a Trevor Lawrence, he gets all of the leash in the world. Give him time. Let him grow. He needs time. Think of what you've heard lately about JJ McCarthy, right? And then he was like, but when you're a third, a fourth, a fifth round quarterback, you're automatically predetermined to suck. Nothing you do is good. And it was always the fault of someone else. And I was like, man, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, that is a really astute take because we do that every year. Jerry, how many times over the last month have you heard people, and even coming from last year with Caleb, and you still hear it with guys like Trevor Lawrence, how long do you have to hear, hey, give the guy some time. Let him work into the league?
Every time. Every single time somebody is drafted even remotely early, or that the Dynasty community falls in love with for even a week.
And you know why I think that is? It's confirmation bias. Like I'll use, and I'm not picking on Thor Nystrom, but I'm going to use him and his love of JJ McCarthy as an example. Why would Thor say, hey, give JJ some time? Give JJ some time. Let's give him some grace. Why? Well, because he said his absolute ceiling was John Elway. Bold comparison, but okay. Bold. So why would he want to give that take time? Because it gives him more time to be right. And I don't know where he stood on Shador, but with people who were poo-pooing on Shador, why would they want to give all of the love to the Tennessee defense being shitty because they didn't have Shedeur highly rated. And guess what? It makes their take on Shedeur look right. It's bias. So one of the first things, and I'm going to tie this all back into what we're doing tonight, try to get bias out of your heart. So, Jerry, what I'm going to do this year, we always do some my guys. This year, and I'm going to hold you accountable, you got to hold me accountable. Our my guys have to be projected Dynasty third rounders, okay? I don't want to hear you come February when we start talking rookies and you're like, my guy is Jeremiah Love. Big fan, really good at football. That doesn't help anybody because then if Jeremiah Love gets off to a slow start, you're going to lock into that bias. Subconsciously, consciously, maybe a little bit of both. But we will be confined to third rounders or later because that's where we found guys like Terry McLaurin and Bucky Irving and Cooper Kupp and a ton of other guys that we've loved late. Remember James Robinson?
Yeah, buddy.
What a coup. What an absolute coup this is. So I thought it was a really good take. I thought it was very interesting. And I think it's more of what all of us need to do. We need to try to get that bias out. Don't lock in. Let the information guide us. What do you think, Jerry?
I think that's a beautiful thing. A year's wise beyond your years, even if there is a lot of those years. Here's the thing. Randy told me I was number one twice.
Well, that would be number 11.
Yeah.
For those watching on YouTube.
Here is the thing about the Shedeur Sanders thing is a perfect situation, right? Because I was a person that didn't like Shedeur Sanders. I drafted Dylan Gabriel. And you know who is way, way fucking worse? Dylan Gabriel. We have seen Shedeur Sanders. The ceiling is obviously higher. He has to be the guy the rest of the way. I know they already said it. And he has to be given a real shot to start next year. Now, I know Deshaun Watson is going to be there, and I know Deshaun Watson will absolutely be somewhat of a thorn in the sides of the Shedeur Sanders people, but it doesn't change the fact that Shedeur will absolutely get the crack because he's young, because he's looked well, and that can also be said that the Tennessee defense was ass, because they are, but also Shedeur looked pretty freaking good, and he did it with a whole bunch of children of the poor, outside of Harold Fannin Jr., who... Nino Brown, thank you for that one, buddy. I was just looking at your notes from this summer's podcast where we talked about him, and he was just circle jerking Harold Fannin, and brother was right. Good call there. Outside of that, we're talking about Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, and not that great. So, dude's doing all right. I'm fine with it, and I was a hateful bastard towards the man. That's just how you have to be. You can be wrong. It is okay.
Hey, I will say this. I'm not going to say this year because they could activate him. He's ready to come off of injured reserve at some point. But if they've named Shedeur the starter the rest of the way in Cleveland, they're not gonna activate Deshaun Watson, right?
I'm saying next year.
I will make you a wager that barring injury, Deshaun, I'll make you a $100 for a $100 bill crisp, a crispy one, that Deshaun Watson does not take another regular season start for the Cleveland Browns. Ooh. Not even one. Even one. I'm not saying Shedeur is going to be the starter, but I will tell you right now that this has been the reason why, and we've got at the place to be in the YouTube chat. Imagine the PR if they bench Sanders for Watson.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, brother.
How do you absorb a bajillion-dollar cap hit that Deshaun Watson leaves? You let Shedeur finish the season. He's going to be okay. This quarterback class, unless they can manage to get to number 1 overall, then they can't take Mendoza unless they trade up. I mean, you would have to make a big trade up to be able to get ahead of the Jets or someone else. So if you can't get Mendoza, why not give Sanders 2026? You got tons of draft picks, draft a lineman, draft a wide receiver. And I think the 2027 class is going to be a lot better from the quarterback position, but having a quarterback, a starting quarterback on a 5th round rookie contract, makes taking that $80 million dead cap hit a lot more manageable, Jerry.
You're not wrong.
So I'm not going to go out and tell you guys to spend all your draft capital and your shekels on Shadur Sanders. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying I'm very happy that I've kept my Sanders on my Superflex rosters because I want to delay it just a second because it ties in because, Daniel Jones is likely not playing in 2026. And it's a super bummer because he was in line to probably have at least gotten, what would you say, Jerry? 3 for 130?
Sounds about right.
Call that the Sam Darnold deal, 3 for 130 in Indianapolis. And now, I think the Colts will still sign him. I know I would. I would sign him to where he takes you can kind of afford the hit a little bit. And here's the thing. People are like, imagine not playing Anthony Richardson. You don't want to show Anthony Richardson this year. You don't want to show anything. He's not in but I will tell you this. I'm going to wait a week or maybe until like the season ends, and I'm going to go start kicking the tires on Anthony Richardson. Why wouldn't I? I don't know what he's been doing because he got hit in the face with a rubber band, and I don't say that dismissively because I know what those bands are like. And for those of you guys that don't know, it's about a half-inch thick tube. You've probably seen those bands, not Jerry. Jerry's never been inside of a gym, but you've seen those tubes that the resistance bands. It's one of those. And, if they dry rot or crack or whatever, and it snaps, and this thing snapped back and hit him in the eye. There is no point in putting Anthony Richardson on the field. And I kind of want to see Riley Leonard give it a go. So it sucks for Daniel Jones. You're not going to see him probably until 2027. Luckily, he's still super young. It was a bummer because as of the recording of this podcast, Jerry, Daniel Jones was, even though he missed all of that game basically last week, he's QB 11. He was a QB 1 on the season. You probably would have got that last year. Super bummer.
Yeah, I know. I had to start him because Drake May was on bye in my redraft league. First time, picked him up. Cool, rock and roll. Tears his Achilles. First quarter, I get like -1 point. So I don't get the bye. Sad times.
I think I'd rather have that rubber band snap than that Achilles snap. But and by the way, a little side note: I told you guys week 12, once Shador became the starter in Cleveland, to go get Harold Fanning Jr. I'm like, guys, you need to hurry. Don't dilly-dally. Get on it. Since that time, the last 3 weeks, where is Harold Fanning Jr.? He's tied into what?
4.
Over the last,
4?
3.
Okay, yeah.
3.
He's been just dropping his hammer on everybody.
As they say, the price of poker has went up. Jerry, what's a rebuild strategy? These people missed the Dynasty playoffs. And let's be honest, if you're listening, you could have made the Dynasty playoffs. You can just go ahead and start building a plan of what you want to do in the offseason. This is not exclusive to people who didn't make the playoffs. This is good information for everybody, but what's one?
Honestly, it's sort of that, just on a bigger macro scale. What I like to do is get a lay of my team. I like to look at a team. I get a notepad. I get a pen. If you're an iPad kid, do what you got to do. I use a pen. And I just analyze every team. The people I want to build my foundation around, the people that I think will increase in value, the people that I think are going to lose a step, and I'm just going to make a plan for what I want. If I don't think I'm going to contend, even going into next year, then I'll try for the 2027 picks. Or I'll try for players that maybe will change scenery in the meantime. The people that are going to be impending free agents. Like just anything like that. If I have some fat on my team that I don't want, like if I have a rebuilding team and I have Michael Penix, I'm the person that just does not believe in Michael Penix. So I don't have that situation, but if you are that person, like I'm going to try and move him. Like if it means going after an old guy, if it means trading him away for a pick, taking a little bit of a loss, like I'm fine losing a trade to help my team. So just analyzing the team and having a plan and sticking to the plan. That is the one thing where I think I had a really good year, Randy. We were talking in the Patreon how many playoff teams we made. I don't remember exactly what it was, but essentially, I think 4 of the teams that I had out of 35 leagues that I'm in did not go according to plan. Like, I thought they would be okay. They didn't make the playoffs. Then there was a couple that were purposeful rebuilders, and then the rest all made the playoffs. And I think that's just because I have a plan for every team, and I have stuck to it. I haven't gotten bored and traded just because I'm bored. I haven't tried to buy the new shiny toy that's exploding or anything. I have stuck to my plan, and I do that plan right now. Because if there's somebody that's going to want to win, especially if you're in a league that doesn't have a trade deadline, people will pay the absolute most high price for any player that can help them win right now. Because trade value is irrelevant when you're trying to win the money. And if someone else is in the opportunity to win the money, you can exploit them. Because you're not going to win the money. So get the trade value, help your team for the future. Be smart. That's the goal.
Yeah. Don't be in a hurry. And that's the one thing, and it ties back to the little nugget I shared from the podcast that I listened to this morning is I would argue that the best part, the absolute best part of playing Dynasty fantasy football starts February 1st. That is the absolute stone cold nuts about this game. Because if you just wanted to play weeks 1 through 17, you'd play in your office league, with Carol from accounting. And I'll kick Carol's ass. I'll kick her ass up and down the office parkway. But we do this because we're absolute fantasy sickos. I mean, is there a month? I mean, maybe August, not even August, really. Is there a month that doesn't have a nipple tweak in there?
There's something. There's always something.
February, you got the combine. March, you have free agency. April, you have the build up to the draft. May, you have the NFL draft, and then you start dynasty draft season. June is dynasty draft season. July rhymes with dry, and it can be a little dry, but at the back end of July into August, you go into training camp. Then we roll right into the regular season. Dynasty gives us something every day. One thing, and I tried to do a quick Chat GPT search to make sure I gave attribution, but I couldn't find it. Something that I've done, I've learned this in business and leadership over the years, and it's the concept of, and it's just reflective thinking. What'd you do right? What'd you do wrong? What are you going to do differently next year? And you know what? You may have a team like me that went undefeated. Humble flex. But you also may have some.
No, I didn't have that happen.
But you may also have some teams that are hot, moist garbage, because I have plenty of those too. And no matter how good or how bad your season was, you did something right. You made a great trade. You did some great draft research. You listened to the Dynasty WarZone and all the other shows on Player Profiler. You did something right. And even if you did, again, your team was perfect, you did something wrong. You made a mistake. You made a trade. You dropped a player. I'll speak to my boy, Johnny Tuma, who co-hosts the Friday live stream with me and Evan Ringler's Sleep Stream Stash. He traded a Rondé Gadsden and something else in a dynasty league because he had Sam Laporta. And literally the next week, Sam Laporta goes on IR. Not that Gadsden has been setting the world on fire, but and he also traded Daniel Jones in the offseason. He missed out on 14 weeks of a QB1 on his roster. And then you can always do something differently next year. And I don't think that's just good advice for dynasty fantasy football. That's good with life. You know what? You're working on a project at work. Something's going to go right. Something's going to go wrong. And when you do the next project, you can do something differently. I've always thought that to be sound advice. And you don't have to do that on the macro. You can do that on the micro. You can do that on the, hey, what I do right last year in the months of February and March leading up to the NFL draft. Did I make some hasty trades? Did I make some bad trades? Did I just get the dynasty itch to get out there and start moving and making deals? Did I start trying to trade and acquire starters in March when I'm not setting lineups until September? those are the things that is the big one I wanted to get in front of, because again, I treat these things like I treat business, like the same way I manage at work. So, Jerry, what do you think about that concept? Is that something you could use in your personal and professional life?
Of course. I think just to sort of build on it is you should analyze your own thought process at the same time. Not just the things you did, not just the actions that occurred, but why you did the things that you did. Like, I went after a lot of Jackson Smith and Jigba. They had Sam Darnold. They traded away DK Metcalf. I assumed he was going to be the only guy there. Then they brought in Cooper Kupp, and I thought, okay, that's the same exact player, but he's 155 years old. So I have a ton of Jackson Smith and Jigba, a giant part about why I've had a successful year. Did I get lucky? A little bit, because I didn't think he would explode the way he has, but also just smart processing. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. This is a person right at the ass end of the offseason, right as the season was going to start. Everybody went absolutely bonkers. You're talking about a late round running back in an offense that was predicated with they brought in Deebo Samuel, they have Jaden Daniels, and while they didn't succeed and the team ended up being terrible, even if they were at their ceiling, that was actually going to be worse for the guy. So it's easy to say to buy low and sell high, but it's actually the hardest thing for dynasty players to do, because they don't nearly ever. Because the moment those players start to go crazy, like Woody Marks, how long is Woody Marks going to be in the league, Randy? Probably not very long.
3 years, but I'm going to say.
But how long is he going to be relevant for your team?
2 years.
Maybe at ceiling. Like, that's his ceiling. Like, I don't think he's an unbelievable talent. I think he's getting volume.
I don't want to slow you down on your take, my friend, but you picked the wrong guy. See, Woody Marks happens to be in a good spot, as this is not a tremendous RB class of incoming rookies. It is a tremendous class of running back free agents. But the Houston Texans, have a defensive-minded head coach, will continue to put money and draft capital into that defense, and they need an offensive line. They need an offensive line big time. So I think Woody's got at least 26 and maybe 27. We'll see how that turns out. But
most running backs, though,
he's a less.
We can't be predictive that nearly 90% of the league, we can't say they're going to be a starter in 2027. Like, there's Breece Hall probably will be, Jahmyr Gibbs will, Bijan will, blah 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 blah. But for a fast, like Chase Brown, do I think Chase Brown is going to be a starter in 2027? Maybe. Probably not. Do I think Woody Marks is? Probably not. What do I think David Montgomery's going to look like then? Probably nothing. Like, it's just... So when they have those spikes, and you took Woody Marks in the third round, like, we're going to talk about who was a my guy. That was a my guy for both of us this offseason. But you know what I'm doing? Profiting off of it. I took him with a third. If I can get a second, cool. If I can pair him with a second to get a late first, even better. Like, even effing better. I'm just going to use that.
Is that second guaranteed to give you the points that Woody Marks is?
No, but how long is he going to get me those points? Like, there's a real chance they do sign somebody. Woody Marks isn't worth a wet sock next year. You can't say that's not a possibility. It's absolutely, because he's not setting the world on fire.
Anything's a possibility.
But he's not setting the world on fire. Like, he's just exceeding what his expectation was.
Okay, so he's exceeding expectation.
But I can profit
but that's
by
not
trading, because I took him with a third. I can get a second.
That's not enough.
I found a $10 bill. I traded it for a 20. That's a deal.
That's not enough. It's not enough to exceed expectations. You have to exceed expectations and set the world on fire. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, because if he sets the world on fire, then he's a person that I want to keep, that I want to hold on to. I don't want to hold on to. I want to profit from him and let that person deal with the fact that he's going to die on their roster and turn into Treylon Burks.
But you're saying that for the rebuilder, I'm fine with that. Because it's just as likely that late first, ironically, where Treylon Burks went in rookie drafts, could be the next Treylon Burks. You could have a solid, not setting the world on fire, but a solid dynasty asset in Woody Marks.
For a year. But, like,
okay.
What is the percentage that Woody Marks, and we're talking about Woody Marks, but we're talking about Kyle Monungai too. We're talking about a lot of guys here. That guys that are looking pretty good, but you could profit off of right now. Like Kyle Monungai, another guy, 100% trade. See ya.
Again, would you rather have him risk the offseason? Because I will still say, regardless of unless Houston somehow manages to get Jeremiah Love and maybe Breece Hall in free agency, I'm not worried about anyone coming in there.
You say that, but if they sign Rachaad White, I think Rachaad White is a better running back than Woody Marks is, and that immediately cripples his value. I'm not going to be able to get that second.
The same Rachaad White that couldn't keep Bucky Irving off the field?
Yeah, Bucky Irving's also fucking good. Woody Marks isn't Bucky Irving.
Woody Marks has been fine. Do you know what Woody Marks has struggled because of? Any guesses? Because it's the same reason why C.J. Stroud has struggled at times and got concussed.
Yeah, but the line's not going to get immaculately better.
Would you have said that about Chicago's line this time last year? And
They also got Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson is not going to show up. Ben Johnson makes everything better.
You're right, but he went and got guard, center guard. Ta-da! Go invest your money. You got a running back. Again, it's not going to be a one-man band. I doubt Joe Mixon comes back. I doubt Nick Chubb comes back. But Woody Marks, we got off on a Woody Marks tangent. I'm going to give you a couple more things, but just in case you forgot, I don't think you did. Fast draft.
Pour one out for an incredible best ball season. It was a breakout 2025 for Fast Draft, but now the NFL action has started. That means it's DFS season. That's right. You might think, oh, wow, DFS, I can't win DFS. Oh, but you can on Fast Draft. You just pick any 6 guys, and you put them in a handful of booster spots. There's no salary rubric you have to follow. You're not going up against thousands of killer bots in these tournaments. Oh, no. These are regular people grabbing their 6 favorite plays of the week, and that's all you have to do. And we post the ownership so that you can choose how much chalk you want. There is no drafting. It's called the Quick 6 Super Slam. The Quick 6 Super Slam is the signature DFS contest at Fast Draft. It is changing DFS. We are making DFS great again. So go to fastdraft.app and use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. And let's go start drafting faster.
There you go. Go start drafting faster. Fast Draft. Get in the rabbit. That was the promo code, and I'm should be the promo for the Quick 6 and the Flex 6. Get in the rabbit. It's a mini best ball. It's a 3-week best ball event over the holidays during Christmas. It will help the time fly by, because if you're not in the Dynasty playoffs or you're not in the fantasy playoffs, there's nothing worse than being drug across the state or maybe the country to go to Aunt Gert's house without a fantasy roster to root for. Fast Draft, the promo code's WarZone. Get that deposit match. Jerry, I'm going to tell you right now, if you didn't make the Dynasty playoffs, it's either because you don't have a cornerstone piece or your cornerstone piece got injured. And you may have to, find somebody that is willing to part with somebody. And maybe what's a cornerstone for you may not be a cornerstone for everybody else, especially in a superflex. We'd all love to have Drake May or Josh Allen as the cornerstone of our superflex. I'd like that. Jerry, how about you?
Yeah, 100%.
But is that possible? I guess it's possible, but is it probable to get that away from a contending team?
No, because somebody has them, and they also want to still have them.
I would agree. So maybe Jackson Dart's your cornerstone. Maybe you were doing the Memphis and you were getting by on smoke and mirrors, and you have Jared Goff and Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. And while I like Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, and Daniel Jones, they're not cornerstone pieces. They are all QB2s in Dynasty that can give you QB1 results. That's why I like him so much. Well, not Daniel Jones. He's playing one-legged. But like a Jackson Dart, we have seen pockets where he could play as a QB1. Again, if you're the job now, you have to hope that he's not someone else's QB1. And I merely use him as an example. If you're looking for a wide receiver like Emeka Egbuka, had a great start. The offense has been a little bit sluggish, but I think Egbuka is someone that we're going to look at in a couple of years and look at him the way that people are looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba. Mike Evans, 33, pending free agent. Chris Godwin has never gotten right, nor do I think he'll look right coming off of that ankle. And then he's surrounded by guys like Jalen McMillan and Tez Johnson, who I like as dynasty stashes because they might have some upside in this offense. But find yourself a cornerstone. And again, don't get caught up in the, I need a Jahmyr Gibbs, I need a Jamar Chase, I need a Josh Allen. We all do, brother, sister. We all need one of those guys.
Yes, we do.
But you know what? It's not about finding Mr. Right. It's about finding Mr. Right for you. So, Jerry, what do you think about that concept about locking into a cornerstone?
I think that goes into my strategy of planning, because you absolutely need those players that you can build a foundation on, because you need some stability. And it's tough when you're rebuilding because you also, in general, don't have those elite producing guys. So you need to settle in on one. Randall, you are a smart man. As for mine, now this one, I wrote it down because we were watching the Podfathers, and I thought of another one, so I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, because I have what's called child brain, where I get distracted easily. I said, don't consolidate your talent. Players can regress. So essentially, everybody in the offseason assumes that the players they have are going to get better, and we don't want to believe that it is possible that they can't. Let's look at Brian Thomas Jr., for instance. So Brian Thomas Jr. sets the absolute dynasty world on fire last year. How many people said Brian Thomas Jr. was going to be wide receiver 40 this year? 0. Randy, and if anyone says that they thought he was going to regress, that means they thought his touchdowns were going to regress and he was going to be wide receiver 18. Nobody, ever, anywhere, any player, any content creator, anybody, any NFL podcaster, any NFL teams, any players, nobody thought what Brian Thomas Jr. did last year as a rookie was going to turn into what he has done as a sophomore. So that's why you don't want to consolidate your teams in the offseason when you're rebuilding, because you need as many darts to throw at the board as you can. And also, things like Brian Thomas Jr. can suck for you, and you need somebody else to plug in. Or you consolidate and you go, I'm going to build the sizzliest roster in the offseason. And you've got Drake London, and you've got Malik Neighbors, and you've got Tucker Kraft, and you've got Jaden Daniels, and you think you're walking in, and what are all of those players worth right now, Randy? Not a fucking thing, because they're not helping you because they're all hurt. That can happen to anybody. We've seen Christian McCaffrey get hurt. We saw Lamar Jackson miss some games. Joe Burrow misses every single game, every single season. It happens. So you need depth. So don't consolidate your roster until you are a contender, and it is that time of the season when you need to consolidate so that you can win. But in general, and in a vacuum, diversify, build as deep a roster as you can so you can have as many shots as you can.
I'm going to caution our friends and neighbors behind the wheel of a vehicle, whether that be like a semi truck, because this is the working man's dynasty podcast. There's a lot of dynasty podcasts out there. This is the podcast for the working man and working woman of the world. So if you're driving that truck, you're driving your car, you're on the highway on your way to work, thank you for listening, but be careful. Jerry, do you know in a 1 QB league what Brian Thomas Jr.'s average draft position was last year in a 1 QB? Because you might puke in that Lions hat.
We'll say like 13.
11.
Yeah.
He was a first round.
But honestly, like process wise, based on what he did, like I'm not gonna give anybody some crap for it. He had like 1,400 yards as a rookie. What did you want from the man? But
Mac Jones.
Sometimes, yeah, that's true. Sometimes shit just goes wrong.
By the way, I posted this on Twitter X the other day, and it was fun. A little picture of an old lady churning some butter, but you know what churning butter can look like. And I was like, everybody giving the old jerk off to Ben Johnson for being 9-4 and having the Bears in the playoff mix, and God bless, I'll salute. Good for Ben. I mean, but can we not give a tug to old Liam Cohen? Old Liam Cohen
was good.
Got the. It kind of feels like he is being left in the shadow of Ben Johnson. And like, again, who was the bigger dumpster fire? Organizationally, coming into 2025, Jerry, I'll ask you because you know what? Maybe you could be the Ben Johnson or the Liam Cohen for your dynasty roster. Maybe you're going to take over an orphan and you're going to be the Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen. But because this, this show, we have a show sheet this time, but we're also just having a conversation. Who's turning around the bigger dumpster fire? Because think about the similarities, right? The Jaguars, dumpster fire. The Bears, since about like 2010, dumpster fire. Odd, if not below average ownership. And, generation. If you're watching on YouTube, you have the air quotes, generational number one overall quarterbacks. A mixed bag of weapons for these quarterbacks, right? Would you say both guys are doing an equal job, or do you give the nod to either guy?
I think they're both doing a good job. I think it's pretty, because I think Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, pretty comparable. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. had an unbelievable season. We've seen that out of DJ Moore a couple years ago. Rome Odunze's good. Brenton Strange has been good. Colston Loveland's coming on. I think it's even.
Yeah, this just popped into my feed the other day, and it was the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was the standings, and you got the AFC and the NFC, and I was like, holy shit, 9-4, both teams. And again, I've always believed that there's not a finite amount of success out there. I think we make our own, and I'm not trying to make Liam Cohen taller by making Ben Johnson shorter, because they can both be good. I think they've both done a tremendous job, an absolutely tremendous job. I do like the fact that Liam Cohen has done it largely without Travis Hunter this year. And although his stats aren't eye-popping from, a fantasy football perspective, Trevor Lawrence having a solid season. By the way, Trevor Lawrence, Jerry, is QB what on the season? He is QB what on the NFL season?
13.
That is exactly where he's at. Check out the big brain on Jerry. And since they're bye, right? So you go in, you're learning a new offense again, because if anyone's good at learning a new offense, it's Trevor fucking Lawrence. He's really good at that shit. But since they're bye in week 8, where do you think he's been? Weeks 9 through 14. He's been QB what?
10.
7. QB 7. So again, this goes back because the one thing, and they just extended him. So this goes back to my previous point about find yourself a cornerstone. And again, what's a cornerstone for you is not a cornerstone for me, and vice versa, Jerry. All right, you have any more nuggets? Because I think I have one more good one.
If this is not only if you are just in a league that doesn't have a trade deadline right now, if you are in that league, in that situation, I am trading for players that are hurt. I'm going to go after Travis Hunter. I'm going to go after Tucker Kraft. I'm going to go after Sam Laporta. I'm going to try that. But if that's not the case and you have to wait until the offseason, I'm still going to do it then, especially early in the offseason. Once you get towards the end of the offseason and into the rookies and blah, 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 those players are going to continue to accrue value. But right after the season, once that trade deadline opens back up or trade window opens back up, people are still in the mindset that points matter and not, players in a vacuum, essentially, which is what will happen once we start to get to rookie drafts. Everybody will be compared to a rookie draft. Now it's compared to points. Those players aren't scoring points. They'll be a little more acquirable. I'm not saying they will be cheaper, but you also want to acquire those people while they are available.
I think that's really good. I would say I'm gonna tack it onto this, and we'll bring this someone in, and we're gonna obviously do this throughout the season. I just wanted to do something for the folks because you've obviously had a rough 14 weeks. Maybe it's due to injury, maybe it's due to your own devices and decisions in the off season. The one thing I'm going to say is try a couple of 2-for-1 trades. And the main 1-for-1 needs to be a guy of similar points, right? A guy, I don't know that you'll get it done, but like Justin Jefferson is currently wide receiver 25. Man, can we move Drake London for Justin Jefferson and something? Even if that something is a second-round pick or maybe a player that you really like for next year, like I like Terrence Ferguson. Because more often than not, besides just having a bad roster, and I would think one thing that all bad or non-playoff making rosters have in common, whether it was injury or bad decisions, it was depth. So if you can go out and have you ever seen that series of trades where you trade a paper clip and you turn it into a Rolex or something like that?
Yeah.
You have to think of it like that. It's like, hey, how do I turn Drake London into Justin Jefferson and a piece, right? And then how do I turn Justin Jefferson into two pieces? And again, you can only go so far because you have to have a couple of stars in this game, in this business. And some people may have to go from paperclip to Rolex. That's how bad it is. But more often than not, you're probably somewhere in the middle. You're probably in the trying to turn a PlayStation 5 into a Rolex. You're probably 3 trades away from getting there as opposed to 7 trades from getting there. But each trade continues to add a different person. So it seems odd, but like when I just use Justin Jefferson and Drake London as an example. I really like Drake London, but they're not that far apart in age. And I do think that Justin Jefferson's just been in a really bad situation. I think that will be rectified next year. I don't think he'll be off the Vikings, but he's not going to be wide. He's too talented to be wide receiver 25 for too long. Plus Carson Wentz could be back. So we've got that going for us. But I just use that as an example of that. If you didn't make the playoffs, it's probably tied to depth, either due to injury or decisions, and you got to start building that depth. It doesn't mean you got to have 25 players. It'd be nice to. It'd be wonderful to have a decision where every week you have to sift through 25 guys and you're looking up at matchups. But if you play in a start 9, start 10, start 11 league, nothing wrong with having 15, 16 guys that you feel like you could plug in each and every week. And those other 8 should be guys that should be closer to the beginning than the end of their career. Jerry, what do you think about that as the final take?
I think it's good. And also, I think just to talk further about those deep leagues that we're talking about where you have to start 10 or 11 guys, don't be afraid to go after unsexy guys right now. Like like Randy's been talking about Michael Wilson for what seems like forever. And you're playing him in the playoffs, and you're pretty happy about it right now. And that's not something you can say about a lot of guys. Like, we can talk about the trade value of Emeka Egbuka right now. You're not confident starting him. He may be worth more in a trade than Michael Wilson is, but now that it's money time, you would rather have Michael Wilson. So, and Michael Wilson cost you a third. Maybe early in the year, he cost you a second. Like, he's just going after those guys. Wan'Dale Robinson. Yes, Malik Neighbors got hurt, and that's what it took, but that's a guy that I said last year that I was freaking out about because he was just getting peppered a bunch. Just those sorts of guys, you can acquire them because they are not thought of highly in the offseason. Alec Pierce probably is a person I will try and go after. Yes, is there a chance they're not worth a damn thing next year? Of course, absolutely. But you're not investing heavily in them. You are only having them to have that depth. So in case something goes wrong or they explode in the way that they have, they are usable. So going after guys that people are not focusing on absolutely should be a strategy that a rebuilder's doing right now.
All right, I'm gonna throw you a bonus one. If you stuck around this long, you deserve the bonus one. All right, look for young upstart running backs on bad rosters. All right, I'll give you one. Devin Neal, New Orleans Saints. I don't know how the Saints go into every offseason $19 bajillion over the cap for the next year, but kudos to them, they always are. I do not think Alvin Kamara is going to be on this team next year. Go get Devin Neal. I don't think they'll be in the running back market just out of the fact that they simply can't afford it. Are they going to draft somebody? Are they going to give Kendre Miller an opportunity? I'm not worried about Kendre Miller.
No,
but you know what? I'm drawing a blank. Caleb Johnson. Go get Caleb Johnson. That's
a good one because he was so hated.
He was a second round pick. But if Mike Tomlin gets fired or doesn't stick around in Pittsburgh, you never know what the next coaching staff may think of him. It doesn't mean he ever turns into anything, but that's what you're looking to do. I would think, if anything else, and Jamie Parag, love Jamie, host of the Fantasy Six Pack, little smooches for Jamie. He says, what if I need the paperclip to hold my papers together? Don't really need a Rolex because my phone tells me what time it is. First of all, you always need a Rolex. All right. I don't need one of those fancy bust down ones with all the diamonds. I'm a simple guy. But yes, you always need a Rolex. That's your cornerstone. And if you need a paperclip, put your Rolex on those papers to make sure they don't blow away. It's really that simple. But yeah, I mean, there are so many players, and Jerry, we'll continue to do this because we're
quarterbacks too. I don't want to interrupt you, but like the Mac Joneses of the world and the Anthony Richardsons of the world, and just take your shot on them.
I mean,
your team is bad anyway, so if they suck, it's fine.
You've not been here.
You can have Baker and you can have Sam Darnold and Jared Goff and all of these guys.
You've not been here, but I'm telling you, Zach Wilson, the Cougar hunter, 26 years old, free agent to be. You mean to tell me that like Indy may not be in the Zach Wilson market? Shane Steichen may not say, hey, you know what? We're going to bring him in. We're gonna see what he can do in this offense until we can see what Daniel Jones is. And if you're Zach Wilson, do you not want the shot that what you just saw Daniel Jones get in Indianapolis with Shane Steichen and those weapons? Of course you do.
Accepted.
Done. And you know what's Zach Wilson going to cost you right now? Jamie Parag, Jameis Winston.
100%. I mean, Jameis should be a starting quarterback. But
Jameis.
He should.
Jameis is doing the Lord's work. Jameis entertains us. He is a fun guy. If you want to win football games,
Kenny Pickett is starting right. He's better than Geno Smith is.
Jerry, he's the only quarterback in the history of the NFL to be in the 30 for 30 club.
Oh yeah, Geno Smith couldn't throw 30 touchdowns, so of course
but
he
I
couldn't
mean,
do that.
but
he had LASIK since then.
You said Mac Jones to Indy. I don't know that you can give up your second after giving up your first.
Yeah.
But the Colts do have some cap room. I'm just saying, but these are the guys. And take this away from you. If you're still doing trades, if not, your league when the playoff ends, your trade should turn back on. That's the week of New Year's, right? You should 100% start looking for some of these guys as throw-ins. Now, if you have a reputation as a shark, as a hunter, as a killer in your league, and you go start, you got to hit them with the throw-in gimmick. Hey, I want this guy. Jamie says Joe Flacco needs to go to the Steelers to hit all AFC North teams. I will say Aaron Rodgers is a free agent, and so is Uncle Joe. Jerry, we're at the end. We didn't even talk about Phil Rivers. How about Phil Rivers? Yeah. Why are people mad? Why are people mad, bro?
Why would you be? I mean,
Cam
Riley
Newton
Leonard
mad.
didn't look great. I mean, I understand if you want to take a look, but also you guys are trying to win. And Philly can throw the ball.
Like he's Greg Doyle, who's an Indy. And by the way, guys, we're done. I hope the things that we talked about in the body of the show serve you well. But we're going to get silly here for the last couple minutes and get out of here. I got stuff I got to do. Greg Doyle, who's a local Indy hack. I'm not even going to call him a beat writer. He's a hack. He asked Philip Rivers how close he was to his playing weight, which was a jab. Phil's got that. I mean, for being a little bit older than Philip Rivers, I feel like I'm in better shape than Phil. I don't have those jowls. But he looked at him. He goes, "Well, not where I want to be." He's like, "But I wasn't running away from anybody anyway."
I mean,
not wrong.
Philip Rivers is just a fucking dog,
dude. I love Philip Rivers, and Cam Newton was mad that his phone didn't ring, and people are mad because you got to rage bait and troll people. What about Colin Kaepernick? I think what people don't understand, again, we have gotten so far away from looking at context. Do you know who is one of Shane Steichen and Jim Bob Cooter's best friends? It's Philip Rivers. Do you know who Philip Rivers talks to every week about this offense? Shane Steichen and Jim Bob Cooter. Do you know what version of offense Philip Rivers runs when he coaches his high school team? It's this offense. So when you need that aged veteran that you could plug in there, do you have time to get Cam Newton up to speed? No. Do you have time
So-
to get Colin Kaepernick up to speed? No, but you don't have to get, because he already speaks the language. Like I could go, like I just manage things. I manage people. I manage process. I manage. I could go manage a resort in Cancun, but I'm not going to do a really good job. You know why? I don't fucking speak Spanish. I'm trying. I'm learning. I'm doing Pimsleur. I'm trying here, but I don't speak Spanish. So it'd be a struggle for me. Could I get it done? Sure. Am I going to be able to get it done in 4 weeks? No. So I thought it was fun that Uncle Phil Rivers is coming back. 23-year-old kid. He's a grandfather, and one of his kids is the like the number one wanted prospect on the like recruiting trail for college. How crazy is that?
I mean, good for him. As far as Colin Kaepernick and Cam Newton are concerned, Colin Kaepernick wasn't great when he played. Like he was fine. Like he was a starting quarterback, and also it's been like 8 years. As for Cam Newton, like what was Cam Newton good at? Cam Newton was good at running and being a tank, and he hasn't been able to do that in a long time. Like why would I assume that you would get a call, Mr. Cam Newton? Also, you're probably doing pretty well because every single time I open up YouTube, I get a short of you in Abraham Lincoln's hat talking about something. And while I find it very entertaining, I would not assume that you would be an NFL quarterback to just come off the couch and do that. And Philip Rivers is right. He ain't gonna run around. He's gonna get the snap, take 3 steps, do what he does. Is it gonna be good? Probably not. But I'm gonna hope so, because I'm gonna need him in Patreon 14. Otherwise, I'm gonna get relegated back to the bottom division, which is just sad. Because I moved up this year, and I need Philip Rivers because Jaden Daniels is out.
That league is such a goofy format. Hey, we will have orphans.
It's a pain in the ass.
We will have orphans. We run good leagues, and this is year 6. It's funny you say that. I just transferred all of the money to be paid out, so I
To
keep
me?
it. No,
So I
Jerry.
can steal it? Oh.
No.
That's why I don't control any of the Patreon money.
That is exactly why.
I would extort that for sure.
Embezzle. I think you're looking for a different
Yes,
word.
there we
Embezzle. You're looking for embezzle, Jerry.
I would exploit the players. I would embezzle it. Yes.
You would exploit the league, embezzle the money. That is correct. That's why I keep the money. I keep the money in a you have to literally go to the bank. I have to literally. It's an old school brick and mortar. It's just a savings account. There's no electronic access to it. I don't want to pull a Jerry and feel like I need to embezzle money. So I go there. I move it over so that when the leagues end, I can pay everybody out. I want to give a special shout out to our guy Cameron Myers. He first of all, he's one of our patrons and we love him. Do us a super chat. Cam, as always, doing the Lord's work. But he was talking about the Michigan head coach, and while we're not going to talk about Sharon Moore and the horrible, abhorrent things that he allegedly, I say allegedly because I don't fucking know, I wasn't there, but it sounds bad, and it is bad if it's true. But you know who Dave Portnoy is, Jerry?
Of course, El Presidente.
Barstool Sports. You know who's got a lot of money?
Yeah, Dave.
Do you know who's got a close relationship with John Gruden?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who would give his left nut to get back into coaching at a high level?
I hope
the
Wolverines hire John Gruden.
Oh, I would. I mean,
because it would be a circus.
First of all, if I ran an NFL team, I promise you with all that I am worth, I am going into Roger Goodell's office and at the next owners meeting and say, guys, John Gruden is suing us. I, as the owner of the blank, I'll say Colts because I'm a Colts fan. Maybe I'll remarry Carly Ursay. But anyway, I'm running the Colts, and I'm hiring John Gruden, and I'm going to work with him to settle this lawsuit out of court, and I'm going to hire him to be the head coach of my team. And I would really do this if I'm the New York Giants, because I believe the New York market absolutely eats the soul of every first-time NFL head coach. How many Joe Judges, how many Aaron Glenns, how many Robert Salehs do we have to see before we need to understand the city of New York, that media, that market needs an experienced veteran who's seen it all, done it all. I'm telling you, I go get Chucky. I put him in there. He loves Jackson Dart. You know the offense is going to be good. You know he's going to run a tight ship. We haven't seen that since, what's his name, the old guy who, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late. You can see
Tom
his
Coughlin?
face. Tom Coughlin, how red his face got that game in Green Bay. Yeah, I'm going to go get Chucky, Jerry.
Listen, do what you got to do. I hope Michigan hires an awful coach.
Oh,
They absolutely fall on their face. I don't think they will because Michigan cares too much about football. I would assume it's probably going to be Brian Kelly. He coached at Grand Valley State, which is a D2 school in Michigan. Plus, he coached at Central Michigan. He's got ties. It's a high-profile guy. Michigan's not going to want to just pick some guy.
That is a horrible hire.
I don't think it is. He's exponentially. He's better than Lane Kiffin. The fact that they fired him for Lane Kiffin, who has done nothing ever. Lane Kiffin was the
Mississippi
premier
State
candidate.
in the playoff?
Mississippi is, yes.
No, yeah. So I'm sorry. Ole Miss, is Ole Miss in the playoffs?
Yes. That's the
rebuilt
only thing
that?
he's ever done. That's the only thing he's ever done. He's made. Listen to this, Randy. Here's a stat I looked up because I was like, what has Lane Kiffin ever fucking done ever as a coach? This is the second time he will have played in a New Year's Six bowl. So Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, blah blah blah, all those the big bowls. Done it twice. Brian Kelly did that twice at Cincinnati. So that doesn't include Notre Dame. That doesn't include LSU. He's a better coach than Lane Kiffin. So that's stupid. Brian Kelly is not. He's like James Franklin. He's not going to win you the big one, but also he's better. And he's definitely an upgrade for Sharon Moore. But I think it's either going to be him or it's going to be Brian Daboll. I could see Brian Daboll going to Michigan. I don't know if he has any ties, but we're talking about an NFL head coach, offensive-minded. They want to keep Bryce Underwood. See it. Jed Fish from Washington, offensive guy, former coordinator from Michigan. They really need to go after Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator under Harbaugh. But I hope they don't. I hope they hire some crumb bum who turns that program into a just pile of shit piss.
Well, I'm looking at Brian Kelly, just making sure. So, since 2022 at LSU, he's 34-14, and since
But not bad.
But that's LS. That's LS.
That's what Jim Harbaugh did at Michigan.
That's LS fucking you. All right. At Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin was 55-19.
Yeah.
In 2 more seasons. 55 wins at Ole Miss. It's not LSU. It's not a blue blood. I get that he failed, but we cannot. How long do we get to hold his failures against him?
Lane Kiffin has done nothing but fail.
That's not correct.
Like you're talking about a guy that has coached at Tennessee.
Yep.
A guy that has coached at
one season, winning record.
USC.
Winning record.
Dog shit.
28-15.
In the Pac-12, dog shit.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't win the Pac-12. Has he ever won a conference? I don't think he has.
Who's the current Grand Poobah of all things football at UFC? Wasn't he going to set the world on fire? Maybe that's not.
But he's at least produced talent. Has he made a playoff? Who is Lane Kiffin's best player?
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, when he transferred away.
But didn't he recruit?
He also played for fucking USC's coach, who I'm blanking on his name right now, who coached every quarterback in the history of time.
He's also called the Portal King. I'm looking at his resume online. He's called the Portal King, and guess what the Portal King's probably going to do when he gets to LSU?
He's gonna feast. But that's the thing about players or teams like LSU. They recruit themselves. They don't need Lane Kiffin.
Then why'd Brian Kelly struggle?
He lost the big games against very good teams. You mean which is exactly what Lane Kiffin is going to do.
You mean the ones that he was supposed to win?
Not always. He's going to lose to Alabama. You know what? Shit.
I will say this. We will end this show with this. If you're an Ohio State fan, you 100% want Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's a porn star. He may choke on a few, but he always blows the big one.
I mean, fair. You're not wrong. I'm not saying Brian Kelly's like an unbelievable coach, but he's an upgrade for them. And he's a known commodity. And
you
Michigan
had Jim
loves
Harbaugh
to sell.
2 years ago.
Yeah, they love known commodities. And then they went after Just
John
this guy.
Gruden's not a known commodity?
He is. He 100% is. That's exactly somebody they will go for. Brian Daboll. Somebody that is a name in the game is who Michigan will go for.
And
it's going to be an offensive guy because they do not want to lose Bryce Underwood. Because if you lose Bryce Underwood, you are not a big time program. And that's not what they want to do.
I'm telling you right now, when you have a sissy like Day at Ohio State, come on, man.
All right, that's defending national champion coach, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to defend Lane Kiffin,
with
Ryan Day does laps around fucking Lane Kiffin.
You talk about recruit. He's got itty bitty BB balls. All right, you're playing Indiana. You have nothing to lose. You're going to the playoffs, and you're kicking a field goal to tie it. Fuck out of here. Last year against Michigan.
Exactly. He's got nothing to lose. He knew he was going to get a bye.
Yeah, but why aren't you playing to win a game? Don't make me go Herm Edwards on you. Hello? We play to win the game. Hey, you play to win fantasy championships. I'm sorry the last 12, 13 minutes got off the rails.
We argue.
But you know what? That's the fun part. So anyway, we'll be back. We gave you a lot of things, a lot of nuggets. We have a lot of work to do on Dynasty rosters. We will continue that work all off season. That man's name is Gerald J. Sinclair. You can follow him at Jerry Sin DWZ. You follow me at DWZ Memphis. We'll be back next week. The week of Christmas is TBD. I'll be out of town, and we'll see what we can't get worked out. We might do a pre-record, something crazy. Might get crazy. So we'll figure all that. But until next time, you guys have a great week. Good luck in the playoffs.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.